What is going on, my crazy 76er fanatics? Guys, we are back with another daily pod with your daily 76ers discourse, discussion, and information. The watchers, the likers, the commenters, and the subscribers, guys. You guys matter the most. You guys keep this conversation flowing, keep this channel continuously growing, and keep the Sixer discourse in the comment section because we read all your comments down below, guys. Let me know what you think. When will this team be at full strength? The honest answer is the world may never know. But the realistic answer, at least from people who've been anticipating not only the players on the injury reports to get off, but some of these players to get comfortable and get their stride back. That's what full strength is all about. They can be on the court, but they're able to be themselves on the court. That is what full strength definitely means. I think like February, March. Realistically, guys, you got to assume that back-to-backs are done for Joel Embiid up until, I guess, playoff season. Back-to-backs won't be played at all by Paul George, maybe up until playoff season. Jared McCain's back-to-backs, kaputs. Dominic Barlow still on the injury report. Hopefully, and this is a fingers crossed scenario situation, no team realistically goes into April, May unscathed, unharmed, with no scratches and no injuries on their report. But you can hope, you can pray, you can have your fingers crossed that this team that has already had an injury-filled and injury-riddled season, by February and March, this team could be and should be at full strength because Nick Nurse says that Paul George is just a doctor visit away from being cleared to play. Nick Nurse says Dominic Barlow needs to get that elbow healed first, and then he'll be back on the court, rebounding and playing relentless defense. We miss Dominic. And then Jared McCain, of course, Jared McCain is going to have to go through an entire year process of not only getting his legs back under him, but maybe even fixing that thumb, that shooting hand, because he didn't make any shots in his debut. That could be, again, just first game back, comfortability, knocking off that ring rust, or it could be that thumb and that thumb brace getting in the way of Jared McCain doing what he does great, and that's knocking down some jump shots. When will this team be at full strength, guys? It won't be this month. It daggone sure won't be next month. You can hope for an early January, but realistically, again, the back-to-backs won't be played by the star players up until March, definitely after All-Star break. This team probably won't find out when they'll be with consistent lineups, consistent minutes, and a consistent depth chart up until all these guys get off of the injury report. Again, I think February, I think March, that is our target mark for when this team should be at full strength, because the last thing you want this team to do, or to say this team did, was peak in the beginning of the season. Those first 6 games were electrifying. These last 2 games were concerning. The last thing you want to say is your Philadelphia 76ers squad peaked in the beginning of the season. Full strength should be when this team is at full capacity to compete at their highest level. February, March, that's what you're looking for, guys. And if you've been looking, if you've been watching, Jared McCain, he didn't play great in his debut, guys. It was a small sample size, a 15-minute sample size. Defensively, Jared McCain looked like Chris Paul out there, which basically means he looked like he was 45 years old and couldn't move. Jared McCain looked like a stick in the mud. He looked a step slower on the defensive end. He looked a little bit not like himself, or a shell of himself on the offensive end. And when you ask Jared, why were you a little uncomfortable? Why did it seem like you were uneasy out there on the court? Truth is because he was. Jared McCain is coming off of a knee surgery that ended his rookie career, I think like 23 games into his career. So realistically, guys, I'm looking at this as Jared McCain's rookie season. He only completed a quarter of an NBA season. So this is technically the completion of a rookie season. So Jared McCain can not only identify who he's going to be as a player, but how he's going to play on the court on a nightly basis. Jared McCain went on to speak to media, who is now not only playing with a knee brace, but also dealing with the recovery process. He went on to say that his knee, it feels like unbalanced. It just feels like it's super heavy, like you're lugging a whole leg, another leg, on top of your leg. It's just hard to move. Jared McCain also went on to say that sometimes his mind wants him to do certain things that his body just won't let him to do, which is kind of concerning to hear from a young 20-year-old in his career, that his mind and body just aren't on the same wavelength. But, of course, it takes comfortability. It takes repetitions. It takes practice. Practice does make perfect. And I'm not saying Jared McCain's game is ever going to be perfect, but hopefully his mindset and the connection between his mind and body does get back to a nice, unique synergy and synchronism. Synchronization? Synchronize? Synchronize. That's a word. Whatever, you get it. Hopefully Jared McCain is back to playing with Jared McCain basketball because his biggest aspect of his game is off-ball movement. And if he's saying that his legs feel heavy, it feels like he's lugging another leg, then Jared McCain won't be able to be himself. Jared McCain won't be able to play his game. And if Jared McCain is the guy who you picked in the first round, who obviously has a huge ceiling, he's going to have a huge trade market until he proves to not have a huge trade market. If Jared McCain is going to be playing bad all season long, it would and could make sense, not for Nick Nurse, not for Daryl Morey, but again, I say Bob Myers, to offload Jared McCain and trade for a win-now piece because this team is in win-now mode. And when I say in win-now mode, they need to win this season because next season, you're not sure what kind of Joel Embiid is going to be returning. You're not sure what health Joel Embiid is going to be at, and you're not sure what injuries this team is going to incur because every season it is an injury problem for some star player, for some high impact and high usage player on this squad, and they're going to be out. If this squad this year is dealing with their injuries early in the season, and fingers crossed, April and May, this team has all their stars ready to play, you got to trade. You got to make some trade win now moves. I'm saying going all in. I'm saying every first round pick, every second round pick, every third round pick, they can have them. Because right now, this is the year this team can be the best that you've ever seen a Sixer squad. The depth is this is the deepest Sixer squad you've seen in history. In the history of this Sixer team, you can play guys 1 through 12 here and rely that not only they can be stars in their roles, but they can play under control. They know what shots to take. They know what shots to make, and they also know on the defensive end where to slide to. This is the best Sixers team, the most deep Sixer team you've had, I think, in Sixer history, especially just because of the talent and the plethora of talent in the NBA. So you see what's going on down here. Will this team trade for Zion Williamson? Because Zion's market is at an all-time low. Zion's market is the lowest that you've seen Zion stock since being drafted in the NBA. And if you know Daryl loves trading for high upside, low risk players. And if you're going to trade Zion, you can definitely trade Zion for Jared McCain, for Paul George. Contractually and factually, this trade right here works. We did not include any first or second round picks because that's what the comments are for, guys. Tell us if you like this trade right here. What first round picks? What second round picks? What are you including for Zion, Sadiq Bey, and Herbert Jones? This trade right here, guys, it works for the Sixers. They have the roster spot available to give to all three of these players right here. Trading Paul George, who right now you have not seen play with this squad, and he could be the perfect piece. He could be the pluggable, interchangeable piece this team needs, or Paul George could be the shell of himself that you saw last year, guys. I like this trade right here for the Pelicans, for the Sixers. It makes the Sixers younger. It gives them that more win-it-now mentality. And the forward depth then becomes the best. This team does have a lot of guard depth with Quentin Grimes, with VJ Edgecombe, with Tyrese Maxey. But if you trade Jared McCain, you trade Paul George, and you acquire Zion, you acquire Sadiq Bey, and you acquire Herbert Jones, you allow this team to play faster, to play physical, to keep all those intangibles that this team decide to bring into the season. But instead of the guard depth being the best, it's the forward depth that is the best. And you gotta love that, guys, because this team can play bigger. This team can play taller. And the physicality this team can bring, they'll bring it on a different level. Because Zion going downhill next to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid seems to be comfortable playing in that mid-post, mid-range area on the offensive end. Joel Embiid does seem to be forcing himself to get back into the paint area on the defensive end. I'll say something. Herbert Jones can guard 1 through 4. Sadiq Bey can potentially guard 1 through 4. Zion can guard 3 through 5. I'm saying playing some small ball 5. Zion's got those chops to get some defensive stops. I like this trade right here if Jared McCain is, again, not going to be the Jared McCain you saw last year. If Paul George is going to be a shell of himself, you can offload these players early in the season. While the Pelicans have no first-round picks next year, they are going to be looking for a trade partner, looking for someone to take those pieces off of their hands. And realistically, guys, if the Pelicans are in a complete rebuilding mode or rebuilding fashion, and the Sixers just aren't giving enough first-round or second-round picks, guys, because that's what the comments are for. We are not going to wait and rate these first- and second-round picks this early into the season, because if the Clippers aren't a playoff squad, then that Clippers pick has so much weight on it. And maybe the Pelicans will be a team that's willing to wait on it. Because this is a Sixers squad with a lot of draft assets. And if you're able to get Zion, whose market is at extreme low, maybe you say, listen, you got to throw in Trey Murphy as well. And again, financially and contractually, this trade works for both squads. Now, I'm not sure if GM Joe Dumars is making more bad decisions, because Joe Dumars has been making some pretty bad decisions there. This would be another one for Joe Dumars to make, but that seems to be right up his alley. Trading Trey, trading Zion, getting an overhaul of first and second round picks plus some swaps. This would be the trade that puts this Sixer team in a win-now mode for sure. You have a dominant player in Zion Williamson who can walk around and give you 20 to 25. He would be able to give you 30, 35 if he was a three-point shooter or just a consistent free throw shooter. Regardless, Zion is still dominant attacking the paint. That keeps the force against the basket on the offensive end with Zion there, with Adem Bona, with Tyrese Maxey, with Kelly Oubre. Squad can play under and above the rim. Love that. Then you got your floor spacing there. You do lose floor spacing, trading Jared McCain, trading EG, trading Paul George, but you do get some floor spacing back, and you do get a 30 to 35 to 40 minute per game player in Trey Murphy, who is one of the best shooters in the NBA currently. I would love to see this trade made. I doubt it happens, but you do know that Daryl's going to make the phone call. You do know that Bob Myers is going to make the phone call. If Jared McCain can't move his leg, is looking like a shell of himself, is going to need not only a lot of reps, but high minutes, a lot of minutes to get the flow of the game, to get the speed of the NBA back under his belt, back under his repertoire. It only makes sense for Bob Myers, Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey to offload whatever piece doesn't equate to a win-now situation. Whichever piece doesn't equate to a win-now team, they'll probably be off of this team before the trade deadline, guys. Because trading for Zion, trading for Trey, and again, we talk about trading for Lottie. I love trading for Lottie. Lottie marketing just may be too expensive for what this team can afford, because Zion and Trey as a combo is better than a one-player acquisition for Lottie marketing. Did you leave a comment? Like, comment, and subscribe, guys, because we've been reading those gosh darn comments. Someone said they were sick of watching the videos because we said that Paul George's contract is easy to offload. Do you see the teams that are losing in the NBA currently? Are you watching the NBA right now? Lauri Markkanen is a tradable piece. Zion Williamson is a tradable piece. Trey Murphy is a tradable piece. There are high, contractually obligated players on low ceiling teams who, if they want to win now, they should be traded away. And I think Paul George has exactly the financial contract to match some of these players on the open market, the Zions, the Treys, the Lauris, with a few upside swing pieces, the Jared McCains, the first-round picks. You know what I'm talking about, guys, but I want to see what you guys are talking about. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys, because like I said, we read every comment. We read every comment, and if you leave a comment or two, we read more than a few, guys. We'll be reading and dissecting all your comments in the next vid, because it is heating up in Sixer Town, especially with the way the Sixers are playing now. Like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Thanks for stopping back for another pod.